Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube channel. This time, we're looking at Dynasty trades. As always, if you like what I'm doing here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. But let's jump into trade number one. 12-team Superflex, Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence in the 108. So I think it's important to elaborate exactly what the difference between Burrow and Lawrence is. In 2021 and 2022, Burrow was an absolute superstar for fantasy, and he was better as a rookie in 2020 than Lawrence has ever been. So let's look at 2021. Burrow, 70.4% completion, 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 8.9 yards per attempt, 288.2 passing yards a game. Even in 2022, Burrow was still great. 68.3% completion, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 7.4 yards per attempt, 279.7 passing yards a game. Unfortunately, his 2023 season was derailed by injury. He looked horrible for the first 4 games, but after he recovered from the calf injury, he was the same Joe Burrow. 74.1% completion, 296 passing yards a game, 7.5 yards per attempt, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He was great. Fortunately, he hurt his hand in week 11 and never returned. In contrast, Trevor Lawrence is a fine quarterback, but he's never been at this level. Even excluding his poor rookie 2021 season under Urban Meyer, and just looking at 2022 and 2023, he's been fine. I mean, 65.9% completion, 46 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, 7.1 yards per attempt, 246.3 passing yards per game. Even under Doug Peterson, he's never been anywhere near as good as Joe Burrow. I would say, given what we expected from Trevor Lawrence, he's been a disappointment, even though he hasn't been bad. I don't even have Burrow and Lawrence one tier apart. They're 2 tiers apart for me. Burrow is in the top tier of quarterbacks worth more than any non-quarterback, which includes guys like Mahomes, Stroud, Hurts, Allen, Jackson, and Burrow himself. Lawrence isn't even in tier 2, which for me is going to be Justin Herbert and Caleb Williams by themselves. He's going to be in tier 3 with guys like Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, Tua. So, yeah, 108 is a nice piece, but it won't be one of the top assets. I think I'd rather have just Burrow than Lawrence in 108, which will probably be something like JJ McCarthy in a super flex league. In general, in these super flex leagues, I lean on the side of the ultra stud quarterback because those are almost impossible to acquire. Next up, 12-team super flex again. Drake London and the 111 for the 102. I love Drake London with Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to be great. However, 111 is not enough to go down from Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be the 102 in almost every Superflex league, to Drake London. In 2023, Drake London had 4.3 catches, 56.6 yards per game, and 2 total touchdowns. I know he struggled with quarterback play, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to blast those numbers out of the water in 2024. It's not even going to be close. So someone like the 111 could be Adonai Mitchell, could be Jonathan Brooks, something like that, is not going to make up the difference between Drake London and Marvin Harrison Jr. So in this trade, I will take the 102 rather easily. Next up, Devon Achane for Kenneth Walker, Gus Edwards, and the 406. So I actually don't hate the idea of acquiring Kenneth Walker, but not in this trade. This one's a relatively easy one. If we look at Achane in 2023, he had 103 carries for 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, almost 8 yards a carry. 27 catches, 193 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So that's good too. Insanely efficient across the board. Kenneth Walker is almost a year older and regressed in 2023 from 2022. In 2022, he was actually pretty good. 228 carries, 1,050 yards, and 9 touchdowns. 27 catches for 165 yards. But then in 2023, he only had 905 yards on just 9 fewer carries. 8 touchdowns, the same. And he did score a touchdown in the receiving game and was a lot better on the catches he received. But I am a little scared that Zach Charbonnet could eat into his workload more under a new coaching staff. I like Zach Charbonnet. I do not find that Gus Edwards and 406, which don't mean much to me, are enough to bridge the gap between Walker, who to me the ceiling is a low-end RB1 at best, to Achane, who the ceiling is, top 5. So I'd need more of a mid-early second to do that. I'll take the Achane side here easily. Next up, Superflex Best Ball. 106 and 25 first, league favorite for Bijan Robinson. So I'm always skeptical about penciling in those 25 first, but if it's really a team that's that good, I guess you can know it's probably not going to be a top 3 pick at least. However, let's look at it. A super flex, this is not tight end premium. It's probably at 106 is going to be Romo Dunze in almost all spots at 106. And a 25 first for Bijan Robinson. And while I love Robinson, it's tough to pay that for him. Odunze would be the 101 in some, not 101, a wide receiver one in some classes. Not this one, but, some classes. 2025 first is an unvalued asset, which will increase in value over time. Next year is going to be a strong running back class, which will be nice. I don't think we'd even be thinking about this if Odunze didn't happen to be in the one class in the last 10 years where he'd be the wide receiver 3. I think this is the only one. I think he'd be the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 in every other class. So he'll also have top 10 draft capital. I would lean on the 106 side here. Next up, and this is a little bit of a long one, but essentially 12-team Superflex tight end premium, 102, 202, Kendre Miller, and 25 first for 101. Should I take this package or hold for Caleb Williams? Yes. We all love Caleb Williams, but in this trade, I can't even see the appeal of the 101 side. The Chicago situation is going to be one of the best ever for a number 1 overall pick quarterback. He has weapons across the board. However, getting Marvin Harrison Jr. plus the 25 first is more than enough to trade Caleb Williams away, let alone also with 202 and Kendre Miller on top, which are not even necessary. It's a no-brainer. And this is a good example of why you should always try to trade the 101, even if you really like the pick, even if you really like Caleb Williams. You never know when you're going to get this kind of overpay. Next up, Superflex tight end premium 12-team Jaylen Warren for 206. So Warren's an interesting asset to value. He's significantly older than people think. He turns 26 in November. He'll be a restricted free agent after the season, but restricted free agents almost always stay with their current teams. It's very rare that one gets away. The Steelers must choose to exercise Najee Harris's 5th-year option by May 2nd, which is worth $6.79 million. I actually feel like they might keep Harris at that price. It's below the veteran deal signed like players like DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard in free agency, which were in the $7 to $8 million a year range. We know that Arthur Smith likes a committee. Harris is not going away in 2024. Warren doesn't profile as a workhorse back. Just had 77 carries as a rookie in 2022, 28 catches. And then last year, 149 carries, 784 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 61 catches for 370 yards. So the nice receiving work. Efficient on the catches, not so much. He had good work on the ground, didn't get the goal line work. So I don't see the goal line work ever coming. I'm not sure the efficiency on the catches is going to be there, especially since neither Russell Wilson nor Justin Fields are dump-off specialists. So right now, my current 206 in Superflex is Jalen Wright. I'd easily rather have Jalen Wright over Warren, but I'm not even sure there's not going to be 2 or 3 more players I'd rather have over Warren. So I'll take the 206 here rather easily. This is a very deep class. It's not necessarily the strongest in the, late first, but I think we have a good second round this year. So I'll take the 206 for sure. Next up, and this is more of a general trade question. What can I add to Anthony Richardson if I tier down from Lamar Jackson? I have Lamar. We sort of discussed the quarterback tiers earlier. To me, Lamar Jackson is a tier 1 quarterback, where Richardson is more of a tier 3 because he's so unproven. He was the 4th overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. He played in 4 games and he got hurt in 2 of them, including the season-ending injury. So his stats, 59.5% completion, 3 touchdowns, interception, 6.9 yards per attempt, and 25 carries for 136 yards, and the very impressive 4 rushing touchdowns. I think that's his big highlight of his season. He played about 3 total games of snaps. So we're looking at like 45 rushing yards a game, which is great for fantasy, maybe a bit more. He looked good. He didn't look outmatched at the NFL level. I expected Anthony Richardson to be a project, and he did look ready to play. So I liked that. But we have to be honest. There is the tiniest of track records to go on. We have not even 3 games worth of snaps. So in order to go from Lamar Jackson to Anthony Richardson, which is a lot of uncertainty, I need a 25 first with Richardson at a minimum. I'd like even more than that, but that's what I would need to even consider such an offer. Now, I did want to address this with Rashee Rice trades, what we do accept for Rashee Rice, what we give for Rashee Rice. 12-team Superflex. I don't want to rehash the entire Rice situation. We know he turned himself in. He's not going to miss the entire season. Those people are probably overreacting. People who are saying you're going to miss 0 games are also probably wrong. I don't know what's going to happen. He could go on the exempt list while the felony charges are pending. Maybe he'll see 4 games, 6 games, 8 games. Either way, I do think he will return to the NFL and he will play this season and he will be an important part of the Chiefs offense. However, he comes with added risk because of a suspension. You never know what happens when someone misses time because of a suspension. Things go wrong. Other players step up. The role is not there. So there's significant added risk with Rashee Rice. However, most of the trades have been very cheap. What about giving Josh Downs away for Rice? Yes, I would give Josh Downs for Rice. Downs might be the second weapon on the Colts behind Michael Pittman. They didn't even support a second weapon last year. And Anthony Richardson, we just talked about, isn't proven as a passer. And the Colts are linked to a pass catcher at 15 overall in a lot of mock drafts. So, yeah, I would trade Downs for Rice. Similarly, I would trade the 202 and a 1 QB for Rice. At best, that's going to be like a Jaylen Wright type player, maybe some sort of wide receiver in the second round. Those are nice ideas, but they don't have NFL success on the Chiefs in their profile. So I would take Rice here. However, this last deal, I would definitely take the Rice side. Rice and 110 for Tank Dell. I don't think Rice and Tank Dell are that far apart in value, let alone with 110. So that easily swings it to the Rice side. In general, though, I recommend holding players like Rice if you already have them in these types of situations. I'm willing to sell if you get a really good offer. That usually doesn't happen. I'm willing to buy if you get offers like 202 or Josh Downs. But otherwise, mostly just a hold on Rashee Rice. Now, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Of course, all of these trades came from my Patreon at patreon.com/fantasyadvice. You can find it up there. And additionally, that's where all the advanced questions for the YouTube come from. I do have one final segment that I'm going to close with. So let's just jump into that now. Nick Chubb, he restructured his contract with the Browns. Previously, the Browns had a massive issue with Chubb for 2024. He had $15.825 million cap hit with just $4 million in dead cap. There was no way they would carry him injured with those types of numbers. The new cap hit is just $6.275 million, which can go up to $12.2 million with incentives. Clears about $9.5 million in cap space. This move guarantees Chubb's roster spot for 2024. Maybe he'll be ready week 1. We'll see. Probably rules the Browns out of spending either of their day 2 picks on a running back. They just have other needs. So for me, based on this news, I moved Chubb up 2 spots in Dynasty. I don't think he's ever worth a high-end asset again, but we know that Nick Chubb is kind of superhuman, so the chance is worth the shot at some price. Jerome Ford, I moved down because just a little, though, because Nick Chubb is returning, which is bad, but probably means they're not going to have an even younger running back coming in. Ford isn't super young, though. He turns 25 in September. Wasn't great in 2023 as a starter. 204 carries, 813 yards, 4 touchdowns, 44 catches, 319 yards, 5 touchdowns through the air is nice, but that's kind of about it. Better as a receiver. Might be more of a compliment to Chubb moving forward. And then the Browns also signed D'Onta Foreman recently, but with Chubb back, I don't know if Foreman's really going to be worth anything. He has almost no guaranteed money in his deal. The Browns gave more guaranteed money to Nyheim Hines than D'Onta Foreman. I think D'Onta Foreman's not a lock to make the roster. He probably will over Pierre Strong because Foreman's more of a direct backup to Chubb. Strong has more skill overlap with Ford and especially Nyheim Hines. So I would lean that the Browns keep 4 running backs to start the season. Chubb, Ford, Foreman, and Hines. But in that case, I don't really have any interest in D'Onta Foreman anymore. Now, once again, if you liked what I'm doing on this video, if you like everything on the channel in general, make sure to leave a like, a comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell so you can be notified about all of my future content. As always, like I said, sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/fantasyadvice and just keep watching the YouTube channel for all of the exciting content, especially with the NFL draft coming up. But until next time, I want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you all later. Peace out.